So these scripts here, you have a thing called Script Viewer, which I trust a lot of you know about. If you don't, then what you need to do is get your exam officer to get you via the Edexcel gateway on Edexcel Online, actually, to where you look up results. You need to get the authority from your exam officer that can give different levels of access to things. So you need to talk to your exam officer so that I'll show you the actual kind of page. I did a screenshot from the gateway, the Edexcel Online, to show you that. So you need to get that from your exam officer. But you can actually look at the scripts. You can download them as a PDF, or you can actually look at them on screen, which is I always used to prefer having the PDF because I could kind of write on it and have a good look through. So there are some scripts. This question here you may recognize, and the note here is few, only 13% got this right. Lots of students were leaving the exam talking about the fact that they got m to the 6 for that question, and I can well remember some of my year 11s leaving, and they always talk about it afterwards, and a couple of students looked a bit sheepish and said, I didn't get m to the 6, I got 2m cubed, and they kind of got laughed at, but actually they were the ones who got it right. So sometimes you can actually use the results plus data along with access to scripts to see the success rate of certain questions, and sometimes it shouldn't be getting it wrong, but it is a big misconception. This is where to find it, the Edexcel Online. I'm sure a lot of you know this, but there's the arrow at the bottom there where you've got your script viewer, and so that's where you'll be able to find them. But that won't automatically come up unless your exam officer gives you the rights to access that. So there it is. Obviously, when you go into the script viewer, you pick your qualification, and then you put in the surname of the student. And then you can begin to, I think if students have got the same surname, there's you've got your candidate number and things like this, and you can drill down, and then you can actually start looking at the scripts for that candidate online, or you can print it out as a PDF. So I'm sure a lot of you are doing this, but as I say, it's one of these things that one or two people probably don't know about. It gives you the score for each of the questions, as you see there. And then you really kind of have to have the mark scheme in front of you in order to make a judgment whether you think that was a fair one or not. I mean, obviously this one got the 1 mark, but there's a score for each question there. I'm going a bit quicker than normal, obviously, because of this. There's the downloadable printable version I always used to prefer to thumb through, and then you can begin to annotate it. What's extremely useful at my own school, Gumley House, was that we used to have 2 members of staff. One was an A-level examiner and one was a GCSE examiner, and they really are very useful people to have a thumb through because they've marked these papers, or even if they haven't marked that particular paper, they can interpret the mark scheme perhaps as good or better than people in the department, which makes them have an informed decision saying, I think you've got a case here for challenging that and seeing if you can get a few extra marks. So I think that's one good resource to use, is anyone in your department who has been or is a current examiner. It doesn't have to be, it can be with any board actually, because exams are exams.